Welcome back to It's Chow Time Pod. It's your host Red. I got a pretty black pill video today from Wheat Waffles, just showing you the difference between black pill and red pill and his experiences. I think this was going to help a lot of men out to understand some things if they don't understand it already. There's a lot of my subs that already understand most of these concepts too, so please like and subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate that, and let's get to the chow. It's chow time.
Yes, you should be blackpilled about dating, which, in other words, means two things. One, realising the importance of looks, and two, hypergamy, which is the concept that women only date up. So, when you combine these together, you understand women only want to date a guy who is more physically attractive than them. Anyway, I'm going to talk in this video on my experience of how I first got red-pilled around 4 years ago, which I followed for 2 straight years until I discovered the black pill, which I've now been following ever since for the same period of time, 2 years. Anyway, we'll start right at the beginning. So first I was red-pilled, and despite following it for 2 years, none of the concepts really resonated with me, and I saw zero improvements to my non-existent.
This is one of the big reasons why I'm doing this video. I also agree. Red pill doesn't seem to help all men. It's hard to fully understand the concept and even to approve some of the things that red pill tells you to improve in.
Dating life. For the most part, I just felt completely lost and aimless. And for those who don't know what the red pill is, it's basically the umbrella of principles related to self-improvement in order to improve your dating life. So working on your appearance, your finances, your mental health, and of course, game. Now, these might sound like great ideas on the surface, and you're probably confused to how I felt lost and aimless, despite having these 4 strong pillars of guidance to adhere to. But the biggest problem I had was I didn't know which of these factors I was lacking, how they would benefit me, and by how much. And just to clarify, I was never the kind of guy to watch one of their videos and never practice it in real life, which I'd guess 90% of their viewers are. Rather, many times I'd try utilising the information I learned in a video, particularly about game, only for when I used it, I'd get the opposite response of what I was told I'd receive. Here's a great example. A common principle taught by dating coaches is instead of asking a woman if she wants to go on a date, you should instead tell her, "I'd like to take you out to this awesome place." The idea being that telling instead of asking comes across more assertive and masculine. Well, when I tried using this technique, I was rejected and confused why it happened when the theory said...
I think because looks play a part in it, right? This is the black pill part of it, where it actually requires you have a certain look and a certain attractiveness to that woman for you to be able to play that masculine assertive role. If she doesn't even see you in that dominant or in that light, it's going to put her off because she doesn't even like you that way or not attracted to you that way. Now you're just telling her to do something that like she doesn't even want to do, right?
Sounded so promising. Another example, which again is a common game principle, is that you should wait at least the same amount of time a girl took to respond to you for you to text her back.
That one is correct. I'm so stupid. I'm a person that's almost always on my phone. If I can reply to you right away, I'll reply right away. And if I can't, I can't. That's what it is. So it's from my dating life more recently, it doesn't seem to matter too much about the texting back and forth, especially if the woman likes you. That's the thing, right? But I don't know. It is hard to gauge those things, especially when you're first just messaging back and forth. So,
for example, if she took 10 minutes to respond, then you take 15 minutes. The reason you do this is because high-value men are busy with their lives, and this will captivate her attention. Well, once more, when I tried using this technique, it resulted in the opposite outcome of what I was told, and I was still getting flaky responses over texts. This made me realise my first issue with the game part of the red pill. The majority of dating coaches out there can say whatever advice they want, and as long as their explanation somehow trails back to what a high value man would do, then they're able to package it as good advice for which the majority of inexperienced guys will fall for it. For
Yeah.
instance, going back to how long should you wait to respond to
Yeah, this is why I want to do this video. Like, we've been doing a lot of red pill and just a lot of talk about it, but I'm sure people are confused and like don't know how to use it and it's not working for them also. So I'm hoping this helps some men out to kind of navigate to that.
a girl's texts? If I was a dating coach, I could quite easily justify that you should respond straight away. All I'd have to say is a high value man goes after what he wants, doesn't play stupid games, and doesn't wait for success to happen to him. On the flip side, to show why you should wait longer to respond, I could use the explanation, a high value man has better things to do in his life than wasting his time texting his social circle indefinitely. As you can see, the explanation can be bent in any direction I desire, and as long as I can tie it back to being the behaviour of a high value man, then it is seen as high quality advice. I saw the same thing happening in the Will Smith incident a couple months ago. Some people were saying Will Smith was right to do what he did because a high value man should stand up for his wife and protect the people around him. Meanwhile, others were saying he shouldn't have gotten that emotional and his overreaction was a low-value trait. Another issue I have with the game aspect of the red pill is today, especially on YouTube, the creation space has become so oversaturated that the most successful channels are now the ones that simply shout the loudest.
Yeah, this is exactly what I did not want to do with my channel. Like, I'm not trying to be the loudest or anything. I just want to, get sides of both views, women, men, black pill, red pill, blue pill. We get to just experience and view everything and use all of this knowledge to put a base on our own knowledge, right? So,
and offer the shortest and easiest path to success. I've noticed it's the channels that promise the quickest results with the least work that
no. All right, this is one thing about it takes time. It takes a tremendous amount of effort. If you don't got those two things, and it's grit. Like, you're going to, every time you get up and try to do some of these things, you're not going to always be successful. You're going to get knocked down a peg here and there. You're going to get pushed back here and there. You might even flop back 2 spaces. But it's the thing that you need to be able to see it for yourself and still move on because you can achieve those goals, right? And very many people, once they get those bumps in the roads, it's very hard for them to keep on moving on. And it's not easy. It's not easy to be a Chad. It's not easy to be successful. It's not easy to have a good body. For me to be where I am now, I had to go to the gym for almost a year, and I'm still not even like cut or anything. I just look a little bit bigger, that's about it. And yeah, it takes so much time. Doesn't mean I'm stopping, right? But you got to keep going. You got to keep going, man.
That are able to capture struggling men's attention. It's a matter of fact, during the time I was red-pilled, I found myself constantly switching from channel to channel when another creator proposed supposedly more efficient methods. This meant I rarely stayed focused on perfecting certain skills before moving on to the next piece of advice. The problem is, a lot of guys who delve into the pickup community get presented with an infinite number of paths to take.
Correct.
And for men with little to no experience, the ones that always look the most attractive are those that promise the highest reward for the least work. However, it's often these easy paths that are the ones built on empty promises. I'll put it this way, if I was to tell you you could achieve the dating life of your dreams merely through employing a few copy-paste texts and canned pickup lines. If I told you this, then of course you're going to get excited about it. Those are my issues with the game aspects of the red pill. And I know this is just one corner, and there's probably a lot of you watching now ready to shout at the screen saying game is only the cream on the top after you've built a solid foundation in the other areas. Well, this leads me into the second part of the video because I know a lot of red pill channels out there do emphasize the importance of hard work and increasing your value in these areas first. However, I experience different problems when following these principles. The biggest issue I had is I found it very hard to stay focused, motivated and on my purpose, as they put it, when I never saw the work I was putting in translating into dating success.
That makes
So
sense.
even when I did put in sustained amount of effort into increasing my value, improving my appearance, I still felt like I was making no progress. And the usual responses I'd be told by the content creators, which I must have heard a million times, was to just stay on my grind. Just hang in there. Trust the process and the results will
I do hear trust the process a lot.
eventually come. But my problem was I had no idea how much time or how much effort I'd have to put in order to see the fruits of my work. The journey ahead of me just felt like I was stepping into one big fog with no clear end goal in sight. And yes, even though I'd be making progress in some areas. For example, I got into fitness for around 6 months and managed to get to this level of physique, which I'd estimate is around
Nice.
12% body fat. I went from a 50 to
He's better than me. I'm at 13. Oh, wait, no. I'm at like 12 or 12.5 or 13% of myself. So he's doing better than me.
a 75 kg bench, 120 to 180 kg deadlift, and even managed to do a few muscle ups. However, I only felt like I was making progress in my fitness journey and not my dating life, which is what I wanted. I had no idea how to utilize my improvement so I could get better at dating without being a douche and rubbing it in people's faces. My thoughts were there's 365 days of a year, and for around 360 of them,
See, this part was a little different for me. I was very skinny before I started working out. And when I started working out, people noticed my bulk. So it just attracted more people because a lot of people noticed me before that I was a very skinny guy. So I'm not sure how it works for other people, just because my experience is a little bit different. Just because, again, I bulked up quite a bit. Again, I was very, very skinny. I used to be like 130, 140, and I could not gain weight. Now I'm sitting about 160, 165. So just that 20 pounds of bulk does make me look a lot better to most people. So
I'm going to have my shirt on. So what difference would it make having a six-pack when no one will be able to see it?
Makes
And
sense.
no, I didn't use this as an excuse to give up, and I'm not the kind of person to give up easily. To simplify my point, when I was on my improvement journey, I found the areas of my life such as fitness, such as my social skills, such as my finances, were all going up. But as for my dating life, none of these improvements led to any changes. My dating life had started non-existent and remained non-existent after. And this growing gap between the work I was putting in and the lack of results I was getting made me angry. I felt like I had no direction. And when I was told to just trust the process and the results will come, my response would be, well, how long until I see those results? Another issue I had, which made me question the advice I was following, is I'd compare myself to other guys who were putting in a tenth of the work I was, yet I'd see how they were getting far better results in terms of dating. This made me envious and started making me lose faith in the work I was putting in. Now, of course, if I told the content
I love Wheat Waffles. Him, like, look at how, like, he's telling you guys the truth. He's telling you his literally experiences and how he truly felt about everything. I don't think most men are willing to put what he's putting out right now. Like, just like he even said it, he was envious. You know, like most men would not want to admit that. Like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
creators this, they'd have said I should have never compared myself to others, and I should only be focused on my journey. This may be partially true as well. However, this still didn't explain why I wasn't
It's hard because we're competitive in nature, so it's you have to compare yourself to something else to at least get a gauge if you're doing well or not, right? So
getting results, but they were. All I wanted to know is what did those guys have that I didn't, which meant they were more successful than me? And more importantly, how would I know how big the gap is between me and them, so I would know how much more work I would have to do to overtake them? Anyway, this is why when I originally
yeah, being as men and we're so like inclined to statistics and numbers and things, yeah, we don't have a gauge between these things, right? And looks, we can't really give a solid number on looks. We can't really give a solid number on finance and stuff. We don't know where those actually fall in the opposite gender. right? We don't know how they gauge everything properly. So when we are looking at another man that's being successful, it's so hard to gauge those numbers. How do you like? It's he's right. How would you know what you're lacking and how much you're lacking of to be able to reach that man's status or results?
Stumbled across the black pill, I was conciliated, and quite frankly, I was blown away. The things I like the most is it laid things out in a very mathematical and orderly way. In fact, it literally tells you these are the factors that go into your attractiveness. Here is a chart showing the different ratings of guys so you'll be able to know where you stand. And lastly, if you have any of these extra factors, you'll need to either subtract or add points, depending if they go in your favour. This idea was completely new to me, and I was absorbing the information as much as I could. This was the first system that allowed me to understand where I stacked up against other people.
Yeah, it's funny because you see these lists. I work on some of these things. I work on my jawline and I work on my neck size. So I do neck exercises and then jawline exercises here and there. I don't do it a lot. I'm not like too into it, but I know these factors matter. And eyebrows, I get my eyebrows threaded, I think once a month or every other month or so, just to keep them, because they get messy. Guys, women look at our eyebrows and just are disgusted by it because of just how messy it looks. And when you actually get it done by a professional, it actually looks pretty fucking crazy different, just to say,
And it also made me hopeful because when I first worked out how attractive I was, I knew I was roughly in the 5 out of 10 range. And thankfully, all the work and time I invested into self-improvement didn't completely go to waste. Because when I compared myself to photos from a few years back, I was more like a 3.5 or 4. Also, after realising I was a 5, I knew I wasn't even too far off from reaching 6. I knew with a few tweaks and improvements I could easily reach that level. So that's what I did, and that is where I currently...
You notice from the 5 to 6, the biggest difference I can tell is the jawline. So if we look at this guy's jawline, pretty rounded, right? They're pretty rounded jawlines, but at the 6 you get a little more chiseled look. So just something I noticed myself.
Currently see myself today, and at that point I knew it was only a matter of time until I'd be able to get my first successes in dating. You will hear the full timeline of the whole of my dating life from start to finish when I reach 100k subs. But just to give you a quick heads up, I had my first proper kiss 2 weeks after discovering Blackpilled content. A month later, I lost my virginity. Then just a week after that, I did it again. So pretty much, I went...
Proud of you, Wheat Waffles. Proud of you, man.
From 0 to 3 instances of dating success within less than 2 months after understanding my attractiveness. I then realised soon after these experiences that casual dating wasn't for me. And a short while after this, I got my first relationship. But I'll reveal that and much more at 100k. Anyway, to get to the point, the reason I think getting blackpilled and learning the 2 concepts I spoke about at the beginning, the importance of looks and hypergamy, the reason I think this changed my dating life so...
Yeah, I think blackpill is such a more gauging, I don't know what we would call this, way of thinking, is... looks matter so much more nowadays, right? We talk about it a lot. How dating apps, all you see is looks. Women now seem to care about looks more than men, right? And because of that, black pill ideas are resonating a little bit more because you kind of... Money, we talk about it. You make good money doesn't mean shit. You can't attract the woman. If you can't lay down good pipe, you can't give that woman the tingles, that woman's going to leave you. Can take half your shit no matter what anyways. So to be able to get the woman that is super attracted to you and is willing, that thinks that you're the best, you actually have to up your looks and up some of these factors, right?
Much is because this gave me so much confidence and motivation to improve as I now had a measurable scale telling me where I am. and that I could slowly but surely climb it too. And yes, although many of you might be pointing out now it is incredibly difficult to climb the scale and every person has a ceiling,
This is correct.
in spite of this, I knew I could still make some progress and, as I've talked about in previous videos, even little steps of improvement can make worlds of difference in terms of your attractiveness. I've coined the idea that the attractiveness scale resembles something more like the Richter scale than a standard linear graph. So each point of difference is more similar to a 10 times difference rather than just a measly +1.
Yeah.
So even though I do agree with the notion, it is very hard to climb the scale, going from a 4 to a 7 say. It is much easier to go from a 5 to a 6, which is what I did, and gave me everything I needed with regard to my physical attractiveness not being as much of a limiting factor anymore. I believe basically everyone who hasn't already looks max can improve their looks by at least 1 point. Which doesn't sound like much, but it really is, and there's absolutely no reason not to. The last bonus is once I got most of the looks maxing out of the way, I could then focus on improving the other areas of my life, such as my social skills, my finances, and just maintaining the level of looks I'm already at. Anyway, those are my arguments for why you should be blackpilled about dating as a man. Let me know any other ways besides these how it helped you in your life in the comments below, and make sure you press the like button.
How is that black pill, Chow? I mean, ooh, right? I think a lot of men, I guess in my community, probably feel similar to how Wheat Waffles felt as he was going through with all this red pill stuff. Like, yeah, improving your finances and trying to improve your game and all those things, it helps, but your looks is almost the number one thing nowadays. It's so crazy from 20 years ago where looks actually didn't matter as much, at least for men. And then now, looks is probably the number one gauge that women are attracted by, right? They always say, oh, I want a guy that supports me and, do all these things. But no, it's that looks that gets you into the door. If you don't give them that tingles, you don't give them those tingles, you're not going to be able to attract that woman. And the other thing is, even if you can attract a woman, if you can't lay down good pipe, you're screwed. Because most women have when you think about it, most women in their 30s, just say we're dating in their 30s, most of them would have had at least 10 bodies. And if you can't lay down good pipe, I'm sure one of those 10 guys probably laid amazing pipe, right? And she's definitely going to always compare you to that better pipe. So, improving your sex game, I think, is also a pretty big deal. If you can't please your women in bed, through intercourse or other means, you're not going to be able to keep a woman. You're just not. Not through money, not through anything else. Especially with women nowadays too. So, all right, guys. Hope you guys like everything. Again, I'll link everything down below so you guys can go check them out. And I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao time.